Bangladesh is voting in its first election since the 2024 uprising that led to the collapse of the Sheikh Hasina government after nearly a decade and a half in power.
And ushered in an interim administration led by Mohammad Yunus. Now with Awami League barred from contesting, there are two major political forces vying for victory in these elections. First is BNP, led by former Prime Minister Khalida Zia's son Tariq Rahman. And the second is the coalition of Islamist parties led by Jamaat-e-Islami. Opinion polls vary widely, though most give BNP the lead, with some suggesting a knife-edge race here.
Over 127 million voters are casting their ballots to elect 300 lawmakers directly, with a further 50 women chosen from the party list. A total of 2,034 candidates are contesting the election. Voting is being conducted across 43,000 polling centres, housing approximately 2,60,000 polling booths. All right, these are live visuals that are coming in from Bangladesh, and we have our ground presence very much intact. We'll be cutting across to our reporters who are reporting from ground zero. They are located in Dhaka. We have Siddhant Sibbal joining us from Dhaka, and we also have Zayur Rahman, who's there with us again from Dhaka, and we're also joined from Texas by Shafqat Rabi, who's a political columnist and faculty at University of Dallas. I'll first cut across to our reporters who are deployed in Dhaka. Siddhant, give us a sense of what you're picking up on ground. Initial reports suggest the turnout has been pretty good. Over to you.
Well, yes, people have started to cast their vote. Many millions are now casting their vote, and it's going to be a long day here in Bangladesh and in Dhaka. With me is one of the voters who just casted his vote. Sir, would you like to speak about perhaps your experience? You just casted your vote here.
Yes, it's very nice experience. I am 52 years old, but this is my first vote in my life.
And what's your expectation from the new government?
Insaf, justice, and Zulai supported politics.
And do you think Tariq Rahman will be the next Prime Minister?
I don't think so. He is tested. He is not honest and sincere.
But a coalition government, then you think?
Coalition government, that will be a situation, bad situation, but we hope Jamaat-e-Islam will be winner.
So there are various views right now coming. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION. And essentially, it's almost, it looks like on the ground, neck on neck between BNP and Jamaat. Clearly, many I have spoken to so far are enthusiastic about the coming of Tariq. In fact, Tariq Rahman's posters are across the city right now. I've been in Dhaka for last 24 hours, and these are the posters you will see across the city. But for the new government, they will be getting a lot of challenges as well. An economy that's not doing really well. A relationship with India, a relationship with Myanmar, the two neighbors of Bangladesh, which are not doing very well. So a lot of things, a lot of pieces to pick up for the new government whenever it is formed and whenever it is announced.
Right, Siddhant, and it's interesting you mentioned those challenges. Of course, we'll have to see how that pans out. And for that, I would like to go to our reporters. Zahidur, how do you assess the situation, and which way do you think the political tides are swinging, and what kind of challenges will the outcome and the party which wins the election is likely to face?
Well, it's a very good morning in Dhaka. There's with 17 degrees Celsius and a light breeze. The people are coming into the polling centers and they're actively participating in the voting process. Now, it's very early to tell who's going to be the winner, but the presence and the enthusiasm among the voters is tremendous. The whole families are coming in together. They're using rickshaws. They're walking from their homes, and even now it's 8 a.m. People are still just coming in, and they're talking to the Ansar, the police, and everyone, and they're just happy that they're getting to vote after so long time.
Zaidur, I see armed officers standing behind you, and they're I wanted to understand what kind of security deployment is there across Bangladesh, because it has been a very heated up build up to this election. There has been a lot of violence, reports that have suggested that, but at this point there is major security presence to ensure there is smooth functioning on this polling day. Give us your estimate and your reading of what the security situation is like at this point.
Well, since morning I have visited 3 polling centers, and the security here is very tight. It's very neatly organized. There are answers in every gates, and there are polices asking about information if anyone needs any help, if anyone is needs any information or anything. They're being helpful to the public, and they're also being vigilant. They're asking if you are a voter of this particular polling center or not. And well, earlier the army chief, in a press briefing, he visited the whole military deployment before, and now there are over 100,000 army personnel are deployed here alongside BGB and the police. So the security is very tight. The atmosphere is very cautious for the security forces.
Atmosphere is cautious, as Zaidur correctly mentioned. We'll now cut across to our guest who's joining us from Texas.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast. And sir, I would like to understand from you, we understand that this is primarily a battle between the BNP and Jamaat. How do you see the outcome? Which way do you see the tide swinging as per your assessment?
Thanks for bringing me here. This is a fantastic election that we are hoping peaceful and also fairly competitive. The election was supposed to be northeast tight, but over the last 1 month, we have noticed that there is a considerable tightening of the race, particularly among the youth and the less affluent population. So that population is becoming a slightly anti-establishment, and unfortunately, right now for BNP and other mainstream political parties, the anti-establishment sentiment is high among the youth and the rural population. So that's what we are gathering from the social media activities of people. But BNP maintains a very large ground presence. It's a traditional political party with immense muscle and financial power. So they may have a lot more quiet voters all across the country. So in the end, it's going to be a very tight election, most likely with the traditional force prevailing, but it's going to be very tight.
Mr. Rabi, Siddhant, who's there on ground, he spoke with, just moments before we came to you, he spoke with a 53-year-old gentleman who said that he's also out to vote, and this is early in the morning. It's just about 8 a.m. there. Polling started just 30 minutes ago in Bangladesh, and he said he's voting for the first time. I just want to ask you, does this reflect a higher enthusiasm in this election for more people to come out and put their ballot?
Yes, so just to put the statistics straight here, Bangladesh probably had the last fair election in 2008, but even that election was not without controversy. If you were to think, most likely the 2001 election was the last time when elections were very competitive, free and fair. So 2001 to 2026 is about 25 years. So the gentleman who is 52, he was probably in his mid-20s, and somehow he didn't vote back then. So yeah, a lot of people, even in their 50s, are going to be there for the first time. But going back to the past, we know election has always been very, very festive in Bangladesh. So what you are going to witness, hopefully today, will be the return of that festivity.
Right, and Mr. Rabi, do you think that the referendum on the July Charter is in any way impacting the voter sentiment and the voter turnout this time?
So as I said, the youth is very, very energized, and based on the data that's most widely available, which is social media, there is widespread activity among the youth to take part in this election. And July, maybe not the charter itself, but the overall sentiment of July and anti-establishment and pro-reform, anti-fascism, which they call, is very, very high among the youth. So that is definitely going to drive them towards the polling centers.
Understood. Mr. Rabi, also let me get your take on the opinion polls. They are giving a slight edge to the BNP. How do you see it?
As I said, BNP maintains the largest political structure within the country. It's a traditional political party with a brand recognition and also with a top of the line Prime Minister Tariq Rahman, potential Prime Minister Tariq Rahman being the most recognizable political figure. So they do have some advantage and most likely going to prevail, but the anti-establishment sentiment among the youth and the poorer people is really, really high this time around. So he is going to have tremendous challenge, and their polls are all over the place. Depending on which poll you read, it will be on both sides. But most likely it is going to be a very tight total percentage of population turnout for BNP. But how many seats, we do not know. But it's going to be very tight in both measures, both in terms of percentage of votes and also in terms of seats.
Right, and having said that, Mr. Rabi, what are some of the key issues that might be, the deciding factor when it comes to the outcome? We know that Tariq Rahman has advocated for job creation, maintenance of law and order, and also, freedom of speech. Now, what are the other key issues that you think are going to weigh on the voter sentiment this time around?
So among the voters, the largest and the most important sentiment is corruption and law and order. So if you look at the election sentiment, most people, year after year, according to polls, they want two things: law and order and anti-corruption. The country is fairly corrupt at the grassroots level, particularly the government, and people have a very strong sentiment against that. And then you have the anti-Indian sentiment is very high because of Sheikh Hasina being in India. That's another topic, which is giving some edge to Tariq Rahman's opposition, because Tariq Rahman has positioned the party in a moderate position regarding India. So that is also a factor in Bangladesh right now. And overall anti-incumbency, and unfortunately for BNP, for the people, some people, particularly the youth, BNP has become the face of the establishment. So that's where the election got tightened. It wasn't supposed to be this tight, but because of this anti-establishment feeling, the sentiment is very tight right now among the voters.
It's a pivotal day for all Bangladeshis, 100% as you mentioned. And if somebody in their 50s is now coming out to vote for the first time, it does reflect on what kind of sentiment is there at this point. But very quickly, we'll get to know what kind of turnout we're seeing at different polling booths, because we have our reporters deployed on ground to get us exactly the pulse of the voter. That was Shafqat Rabi joining us from Dallas, Texas. Thank you so much, Mr. Rabi, for making time.
Thank you so much for bringing me.